Hi, this is Stephanie with Destination Carlisle, and I'm the owner of Georgie Lou's Retro Candy, and I'm here with Jennifer, and we are here to announce which marker we got
Woohoo.
from the Legends and Lore grant program through the William Pomeroy Foundation. However, first we wanted to just talk a little bit about the process that we went through. It'll be brief. We already made one of these and it was 21 minutes long, so we're trying to condense. So first, Jennifer's going to talk about the Old Town Pump and so the process she went through for the research for that.
Right. So, when we started this, we checked out the application process and they were like, yep, just send us your legends. We don't need any, fact checking. A legend's a legend. We don't need any of that. And we were kind of surprised because, of course, we're armed to the teeth with all of the stuff. We got our ducks in a row. So we had all this stuff that we wanted to submit, and they just didn't give you the space to do that. You basically were limited to, here's our legend. I hope you like it. And yeah, and that was it. So and Stephanie mentioned that she thought that maybe that was just to see if they kind of liked it, just if they were at all interested. So then they started asking for follow-ups, and we were totally ready for that because we had spent a lot of time, both of us researching our individual legends, the ones that we were really rooting for. So as far as the Old Town Pump goes, they kind of skipped over it at first because, apparently, and I didn't realize this, but legends connecting sort of water sources and the urge to return home are kind of common. So they really weren't interested, but they said that they did a little preliminary searching and, they were kind of surprised by what they found. So, they went back and they said, what else do you have on this? And we were like, well, let me tell you. So
I think we even thought that like that one was totally not going to happen because they were like in the beginning they didn't even like acknowledge it. Like it was just sort of, oh, we thought it was gone. So although you had done all the research, we really thought, okay, we don't have a chance at this one at all because they never ask a question.
So upsetting. But when they did reach out, I was so ready and I was just so gung-ho. I'm like, well, I can tell you all these things. So it was really, really interesting. We worked really hard to sort of, pinpoint exactly where this pump was. We had the general idea it was on the Market House Square, which if you don't know is where the new courthouse is. And, we knew that that's where it was, but that's a big lot, and it was sort of like, where, and Stephanie and I were both going through all these photographs and, she was checking with her contact at the Historical Society and we were going through the Library of Congress archives and we were just looking for any image of the pump and we just couldn't find anything. And then, I tracked down a reference from a historian, that was printed in the early 1900s. And, he mentioned the pump being located, sort of south of this one building that was attached to the market house. Then we were on this mission to find, okay, where's that? So, eventually we found, okay, that's in the, this section of the lot. So we realized, well, by process of elimination, the pump must be in the southwestern corner quadrant, if you will, of the lot. So that was really fun. We both loved like it, just the validation of finding it is so awesome.
And do you want to talk a little bit about what a water pump is? Because I think there were some questions about like people don't understand what, like we're talking about this Old Town Pump and I guess they kind of get it's water, but like what is the big deal?
Yeah, so what it is, like we didn't have, you couldn't just go to your house and turn on your faucet. That wasn't a thing. You needed water, you had to go to the town pump. And there are actually a lot in town. There's a couple that have, their own stories. There was the King's Well, which was really close to the market house. I'm not gonna, but yes, but that's what they are. So if you would go, and it was almost sort of a community gathering place. You would go, you would get your water, you would chit chat, catch up on the day's news. The schools would send kids to get water to wash the blackboards, and it's just all that. So it was really sort of a kind of a center of the town in a way, and everybody went there. So having this legend that if you drink the water, which everybody did, you become sort of inescapably connected to the town. Like it's going to be a part of you, you will be a part of it. You will, forever. So I thought that was really, really neat. And You know, even so in the research, you know, we obviously, a lot of articles came up about the pump during the Old Home Week in the early 1900s,
Yeah.
and, you know, lots of things in the Sentinel. But I really wanted to know, like, where did this really start? And it took a lot of digging through really obscure pamphlets and books and writings. But eventually, you know, I found as far back as I could get, were writings from a local historian. They were reprinted by the Historical Society
Mhm.
in the early 1900s, and I ended up calling the Historical Society, desperate for, like, when were they originally printed? And, you know, through some back and forth, because COVID, they were closed and it was a mess. But, you know, eventually they did get back to me and they say, okay, the one about the wells was printed in 1881. And in that, you know, the author talks about it being a legend in 1881, the
Right.
mythical town pump. So, you know, by that point in 1881, it was already a legend, which I love. I think that's just so cool. So, you know,
And
who knows how long before then it was even
yeah,
considered.
these pumps were tapped into natural springs that run underneath the town. So that's where the water supply was. I mean, again, you know, you had talked about it. It's not like you turn on your tap. Well, it
Right.
also wasn't being, you know, water wasn't taken to these pumps through some sort of, you know, sewer system or water system and pipes. It
Mhm.
would have been, you know, a well dug into a natural spring. And I'm actually one of the people, and we found this interesting when we were talking about this, that we like are kind of convinced that this is true, even though the legend has kind of like not been very popular in probably starting when the market house disappeared. It seems to have been
Yeah.
lost because I was never told this, and I'm from here. My family's been here for a very long time, since the 1830s or so. I was never told this when I was a child. But I did move away when I was 18, couldn't wait to get out of this small little town. And I came back. And a lot of my classmates that I graduated with that I never thought were going to come back have come back now in recent years. So we think there's probably something to it. You know,
Totally.
as Jennifer said in her other video, you know, the idea of the war college families coming back, Dickinson College sometimes, and Dickinson Law people sometimes stay. But sort of that pull to come back to Carlisle, and you know, this town pump legend kind of you know, it's a new thing to try to you know, reinvigorate the idea that Carlisle is a special place. And apparently people have thought that for a really long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so okay,
The
so that's
legend
the old
is just,
pump. Yeah,
it's so cool. I love the legend, but I really just love that, you know, even today it seems really relevant. And like, as I said, I want everybody to know this legend. So that's mine.
okay,
That's sort of what we went through. And then you can
yeah.
hear the Hot-Chee
So
dog. Oh my gosh.
for the Hot-Chee dog, we went through a lot more. Like that's
Yeah.
the one that they were the folklorists and historians were going back and forth with us the most about. And it was, you know, there were at least 20 emails of back and forth, and probably more. And the biggest thing about that, as I said in my own video, was what makes the Hot-Chee dog special, because a lot of communities have a chili dog, you know, connected to, or region has a chili dog. And so, like, again, if you don't live here, you don't really understand how important the Hamilton is and what an institution it is. I mean, it literally is an institution in Carlisle, and it's had staying power. I mean, it's about to celebrate its 83rd birthday. And you know, when we were doing this, it kind of became, you know, this. I already knew that in my family, we're in the 5th and 6th generation of
So cool.
Carlisle people who have eaten at the Hamilton and enjoyed Hot-Chee dogs. But you know, when you think about it, they opened in 1938, and people that were born in the 1800s would have eaten at the Hamilton because they would still have been alive. People in the 20th century certainly ate at the Hamilton, and now you know, people that are born in the 21st century have eaten at the Hamilton. So it's sort of this consistent sort of icon in Carlisle. And you know, it's sort of a rite of passage to go to the Hamilton and eat a Hot-Chee dog, and people take pictures of it. Like I've seen them
Sure.
on Facebook and social media where they're like, "Oh, so and so's first Hot-Chee dog," and it's like, you know, a top having the Hot-Chee dog. And so that was the biggest thing, is just trying to get them to understand that how important this was, how important, you know, connecting it all to the Greek community and their contributions to Carlisle. And you know, it was a real struggle to get them to say, you know, yes, we will even submit this to the final stage of approval or not. And you know, for anybody who doesn't know, the Hamilton originally was opened by Charlie Collis. He was a Greek immigrant that was sponsored by another Greek immigrant who owned the Texas Lunch. And then when he got the Hamilton and opened it, he did the same thing. And that's something that, stayed with the Greek community and for a very long time. And, that integral thing of coming and supporting someone as a new immigrant and really, teaching them the restaurant business. And then they go off and open their own restaurants. And, if you've been around Carlisle long enough, you know how often that has happened and how many just amazing Greek families and Greek restaurants we've had. And it's something that I really wanted for the Midzias family and for the Colas family and just for the institution of Greek restaurants in Carlisle. And so the other thing we ran into that was an obstacle was just the limited space that you have on the actual marker. You only have 5 lines. Each line can only be, I think, 27 characters. And so it was really hard to work within that parameter to put all the little pieces of information that we felt we needed to put to, signify why this is even important to the community. And, at first I wanted to put, world famous Hot-Chee dog, and I wasn't allowed to do that because, you can't really prove it's world famous. Although I felt going back through all the articles in the newspapers and throughout, the history of the Hamilton, there've been articles and retrospectives written about the Hamilton and the Midzias family through the years. And like, they are world famous because there's people all over the world that know about them. So anyway, so that's mine. And
we had to submit those wordings with the application. So we had to, we had to have everything sort of ready to go and submit, and just fingers crossed. Like, we didn't really get guidelines or anything on, what they were looking for the marker to say. So it was interesting.
Yeah. And it became a struggle. Like, I don't think they really worried about the wording on the town pump one, but the Hot-Chee dog one, I mean, just like individual words, like I was really individual words. And trying to get everything in.
Yes, it was hard.
It was really hard. And so I still have them, and I'm sure you have them. I have notepads because we were both
so many
and trying to figure out how to fit it all in. So anyway, and this for us was a great project to work on because COVID kind of shut us down as far as an organization. We couldn't really meet in person. We couldn't do a lot of things in downtown that we had started to do last year. So this was really sort of a something we could throw ourselves into and work as a team. And we've actually known for a while which one we got. And Jennifer has been bugging. She made her original video in January and was bugging me, and it took me months. I
want to tell people.
Yeah. And so the William Pomeroy Foundation has this thing that they are starting this year, and it's marker day basically. And it's a day when you're supposed to go out and clean the markers in your community, like a Pennsylvania state marker, for example, or something like that. So that's why we chose today to sort of announce which one we got. And so you ready? You want to announce it?
Yep.
Okay. So what we're going to do is Jennifer mocked up the 2 markers, and one of us is going to hold up the one that we got. And so are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. We got them both. A few people guessed that online, but we did get them both. So mine says Hot-Chee dogs, chili cheese hot dogs, beloved by locals and first served by Greek immigrant Charlie Colas at the Hamilton restaurant circa 1938. And what does yours say?
And mine says, Old Town Pump, whoever drank the waters from the pump located here would be destined to return to Carlisle no matter how far away they traveled.
And so mine will be located outside the Hamilton. We haven't gotten the exact location. The markers are being made right now. They're being made by a company in Ohio because that's who the grant program works with. Mm-hmm. And Jennifer's will go outside the old courthouse. And
new courthouse.
New courthouse. The new courthouse, right? Sorry. And we are going to, have them installed and have a little unveiling and all that kind of stuff. But that's coming later this summer. And we will keep you guys posted on when that will happen, and probably have a little, little reveal ceremony. Yeah, unveiling. That's the word.
Yeah.
And so the last thing we want to kind of leave you with, and we thought this was interesting when we were doing our research, is that each one of these has sort of a poem or a jingle associated with them. Jennifer's is more of a poem. Mine seems to be more of a jingle that was in an ad for the Hamilton in 1963 in the Sentinel newspaper. So we're going to read our respective little jingles to you, and go ahead, Jennifer.
Okay, so this is from the Sentinel. It's by an anonymous author, but it is about the legendary pump. So the poem says, whoever lingers here and tastes the sparkling waters of this well, and then refreshed his journey hastes, shall fall beneath its magic spell. For though he wanders far and wide, he leaves this ancient town in vain. Sooner or later, here beside, his steps shall lead him back again.
See, just so nice. I mean, it's so great, right?
I love it. It's so cute.
And so mine is, we tell it and nothing will hush us. Uh-oh, my screen. We tell it will hush us. There's nothing so tempting and luscious as a Hot-Chee dog on it with everything on it. They're super colossal galumptious.
Galumptious is the best word.
So that's our big news. We got both markers. We're super excited, and stay tuned because we'll let you know whenever they show up and whenever we're going to have them installed. So thank you, and thanks for supporting downtown.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.